Coming up on Theater Talk.
Kate, let me ask you, just for the sake of argument, not that I have any pipeline to the White House, but let's say I were able to get Donald Trump to come to see Sweat.
Johanna, ixnay on the Brumbley.
Did you find someone else with a better fantasy?
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post. Susan, we have a very chatty and happy gang already here.
Well, they should.
We've been laughing because they should be happy because they are involved in one of the best plays I've seen on Broadway in a long time. Sweat, written by the great Lynn Nottage, who has now 2 Pulitzer Prizes to her credit for another masterpiece, Ruined. And now, Sweat, Lynn, welcome to Theater Talk.
Thank you.
The play is extraordinarily directed by Kate Whoriskey, who also directed Ruin. Kate making her first appearance here on Theater Talk. Welcome.
Thank you.
And it stars 2 terrific actresses, Johanna Day, playing Tracy, and Michelle Wilson as Cynthia. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations on the success of the play.
Thank you.
One thing I want to say, Lynn, a lot of people have written about this play saying it's a play about the Trump era. It's about working class people in a place where their jobs are going.
Well, it's a play that is appropriate to the Trump era.
Yes,
it's about a much earlier
No,
time.
but what I want to say, though, is because people say it's appropriate to the Trump era. But you wrote this play, you thought about this play before there was even the possibility of us thinking that Donald Trump was going to be elected president. What I want to know is, what got you thinking about these people, these lives that are about to be destroyed by globalization?
You know, it's interesting. Because you use the word "these people," and I think of them as our people.
Yeah, no, it's condescending.
You know,
absolutely.
Well, it was really wanting to understand what was happening, not just to folks in the middle of the country, but what was happening to folks in New York City and folks who were living no more than 2 doors away from me, who had been solidly middle class, who had invested in the American dream, had signed that contract, and then one day woke up and discovered that they didn't have pensions. You know, they didn't have enough savings to even keep their homes and found themselves really struggling. And so I think that I went in pursuit of a question, is like, what's happening?
What year would this have been?
This, for me, was in 2011.
2011.
And when did you come on board?
2012.
Yeah.
But when you go in pursuit of something, the way you work is you go out and you interview people.
Yes.
You talk to people.
Yes.
So can you tell me the first person you interviewed?
I think the very first person I interviewed in Reading was probably someone who we stopped on the street on the way to the police station. And then...
why were you on your way to the police station? What were you doing?
Story.
That's a completely... Yes.
Ixnay on the talk about police day.
Lynn, what do you get up to when you're into research?
No, but it was like we were... Because I think that we couldn't find where the police station was, and we were going to meet the chief of police, and we stopped someone to just ask directions and ended up getting into a conversation with them.
You weren't with her.
No,
I was not, no.
I was with my assistant, Travis, and my assistant, Travis, didn't drive, so we had to get another assistant. So 3 of us always had to go because neither Travis or myself at the time could drive.
I see.
But so that's why.
So when you stop someone on the street, you just say, "Hi, I'm Lynn Nottage. I've won a Pulitzer Prize. I'd like to talk to you for my new play." I mean,
No, much more subtle than that.
Well,
Well, it began with asking for directions and someone saying, "Oh, well, why are you here? You don't look like you're from around here." And it's sort of explaining, "I'm a playwright, I'm a storyteller. I've come to interview people and find out what's going on in Reading. Tell me a little bit about your city. You know, what are your favorite places? Where do you live?" And so that's how it began. And then the next person that we ended up interviewing was the police chief, who drove us all around Reading, giving us a narrative of the city from his perspective.
Oh, interesting. Kate, when you get a first draft of Lynn's play, what does it look like? Is it do you see the transcripts of the interviews, or is it shaped?
No. Usually it's half a play. She gives me the first act, and we read it, and it's actually it's recognizable to what you see on stage, right? It's not wildly different. I mean, there might be a scene or two that's different. A lot of the dialogue is like quietly shifted, but it's the impulse, once it's there, it's very clear what it wants to be. And then she builds the second act.
The thing about your play is it has an ending, which it has an end, which is quite profound. I get so annoyed by plays that do not end. But did you know that? You got to set that up already?
It's just part of my process. I always know where I'm going.
And you know where you're
because if I don't know where I'm going, I literally could write for forever. So I need to have a beginning and end. And so when I sit down to write, I write that first scene,
So
and then
you
I
knew
write the last scene.
you knew that was coming.
I knew that was coming. I knew the image that I wanted on the stage at the very
Let's
end.
not give it away. Johanna, let's delve into the play. Tell us about your character. Where is she when this play begins?
She's a very happy steel worker at the time. It's her birthday when you first see her. And the three women have a tradition of having their birthdays at this bar. Stan's the bartender, but Howard's bar. And it's happy. She's good.
But she's pretty drunk.
Oh, she's sort of. That's good. They all are. And what's your point? They're off work.
Do they have a sense, Michelle and Johanna, of impending doom?
No.
They are.
Not.
Their lives are going to go on the way they've always
I
gone.
think Tracy's even a little bit more oblivious. I mean, just in that first scene that the girls are in, they're talking a little bit about NAFTA. And Tracy's like, what the hell is that?
And Cynthia has. Whatever. You're talking.
Won't affect me.
And Cynthia's ambitious. And
Yes.
happily so, right? She's doing they're both doing everything you're supposed to do. They have
But you're
families,
ambitious,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be ambitious. You're supposed to want more. Go for it. It's American.
Something you pulled off, Lynn, which, and I have to admit I was condescending talking about those people. We live in New York City. Broadway is a place that attracts people who have money because the ticket prices are so high. Were you worried at all that there could be a condescending attitude toward the people that you're writing about?
I'm always worried, but I think that when I sat down to write about the folks in Reading, that I was really conscious of sort of leaning into their humanity and trying to make everyone three-dimensional, so that when folks came to the play, that they left feeling like they'd met people and not met archetypes.
We'll also say your two sons are in this play, and going through very terrible process. And you introduce us to those people, and we really feel there, but for fortune go I.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. And also, just to your question, I hear so often from people who go and see the play that they leave feeling a great deal of empathy for folks who work in the Rust Belt in ways that they hadn't anticipated. That they suddenly understand a little bit more about why someone would be pushed to the point of voting for Trump.
Right. Would your characters have voted for Trump?
I saw that interview, you guys. Discuss this. I didn't mention that.
Would your character have voted for Trump?
No, I got asked that a lot. There's a huge, which I'm sure we'll talk about, a huge difference between, we were doing it at the Public, and we had a day off, election day, and then, I had that question come to me a lot. And I didn't know, my only, because I wouldn't vote for Trump, but I am an actor. But my only thing that I thought maybe if my character didn't go down the hole that she does go to, because this is not 2017. This is 2000, mostly in 2000. And I think Tracy hates, womanizing men and misogynistic men. I mean, she makes a big statement of it in the play. And that was my only thing that I would hold on to, is like, if she was of her right mind.
Yeah,
she
and
might
I
see
imagine
through
she
that.
might not have even voted.
That's what
I
I
imagine, is
That's what I was
that
thinking.
Tracy is someone who probably would be so disgusted and angry, and probably that morning had a couple of drinks and thought, I'm not even going to the poll.
Well, how about Cynthia, though? I mean, she's ambitious.
She's ambitious.
She would like to have been on The Apprentice, perhaps.
What's interesting, though, is that the othering that Trump does, how he leans into othering people, I think that would have made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Do you know what I mean? She's very defensive. And rightly so. She's struggled to accomplish. Her family has struggled to accomplish. So I don't think that she would have voted for Trump, even though there would have been something refreshing about him talking about these people's plight and her plight.
She would have recognized that.
She would have recognized it, but he's a snake oil salesman, and I feel like the othering would have made her defensive.
And also his racial politics. I think
Yeah,
that
that's the
she,
thing.
I think that very few black women voted for Trump.
It's like 98%.
Yeah,
voted
98% for Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have been very interesting in the community of Reading, because so many white women did vote for him in spite of the misogyny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I wonder,
Around the world.
it would
Yeah.
be interesting, that split. I wonder if there was fights.
I'm sure there
Yeah.
were.
Caitlin, I want to ask you, what did you think, since this play is set in Pennsylvania, when you were watching the election and you saw Pennsylvania go for Trump? I mean, you've been living with this play, you've been living with these people a long time. What were you surprised? Were you shocked, or you thought, I've been there,
it's
I
odd.
understand?
You hear the narrative over and over, like, we are desperate, we need help, but that never translated to me as I will vote for Trump. And it was surprising, even after we went down right after the elections, and talking to people, I was still surprised at the people who voted for Trump. Mainly because I grew to like so many people there, that it feels like if you like someone, it feels surprising that they would like Trump.
Yes.
It feels
you
like
go-
a betrayal.
It
Did you go
does.
talk to the people you interviewed for this play, and did they tell you they voted for Trump?
Yeah, we
Some
did.
people did.
Both
Some
of us.
people voted for
Some voted for
Bernie and Hillary.
Bernie and then Hillary, but there were some Trump supporters. And in the words of one guy, he did it because he wanted to keep his gun.
Have you invited him to the opening night of Sweat on Broadway? Did you invite him?
I actually did.
Fabulous.
I actually did.
But this play, though, says you have to accept people as they are without judgment. They live these lives because fate has thrust them into this place. And who are we to tell them, you shouldn't vote this way, you shouldn't think that way, you shouldn't be like this?
And I
Well,
think Lynn
yes.
does something where she also makes the audience complicit, because if you didn't know that people were suffering like this,
Yes.
wow,
Yes.
we're participating in that pain. Do you know that we're not fighting to alleviate some of this?
But that they're in a system, and we remember that NAFTA was implemented by Clinton, I'm sorry to say,
Yeah.
that they're in a system that so dehumanizes them that they're working for this company, and then they're out because it's about money, and their lives are meaningless, and you really bring home that point, and then that's why we see so clearly how it is reflected today.
Yeah.
I'd say too. I mean, these people have been these people.
Here we are.
Ussin'.
Fancy.
People like us. No, been waving their hands in the air a long time for help. A long time.
Yes.
And so it's been like, oh, I think it got so desperate. I mean, I know I'm being defensive, but I guess because
You're playing
I
them
love
so
the
much.
people
You're playing.
who are the characters. But you know, first it was like, oh, okay, so this will help. I'll have my pension. I can retire in 5 to 10 or 15 years. You know, body's broken down. You know, they've been doing it since they were 18. And then, oh, you're not forgotten again. And then the next time someone said, absolutely, we'll be helping you.
Right.
And they're like, well, okay, check. You know, because they are disregarding all the other crap things that this person might represent.
Yeah.
Because this is their family, their livelihood, their health, their children, everything. So
And you hit home to us, Lynn, that people need to take care of people.
They do.
And
That's
and
the problem
our-
is we're not taking care of each other, and you see it. I mean, and not just Reading, but all over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your publicist sent out a thing. Do you know about this We Are Sweat campaign?
I don't.
I think, well, no. This is your eighth publicist, Bono Brian Brown, are asking people to make videos to say why they are sweat and to post them. You're first to know. This just came out today.
I have
We get so much feedback from folks in the audience, right? We were doing the Broadway Cares, we had our buckets, and people just want to talk. But there was a young woman who goes to NYU. I walked out of the line. I was trying to get
came
home.
back with their parents, by the way.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And she's standing there, and she said, I'm from Reading. Thank you for not making fun of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say
And I
say
brought
that.
her upstairs so everybody could just...
And didn't she say, you know, we're not just on a Monopoly board, we're not just the brunt of people's jokes, we're a play.
But they are. There's a young woman who sought us out the other day, and she said she'd gone to see Sweat, and she'd brought her father and her grandfather, and her grandfather had worked in the factory, and his legs had been crushed, and had lived a life of stand, and the father just said it hit so close to home, and that he sort of cried throughout the entire play because it resonated.
Kate, let me ask you, just for the sake of argument, not that I have any pipeline to the White House, but let's say I were able to get Donald Trump to come to see Sweat.
Ixnay on the grumbly.
Can you find someone else? A better fantasy?
Would we have? No, I'm just curious though.
There's
I mean,
no tickets available.
would we have a Hamilton Mike Pence moment at the theater? Do you think?
I think it would be nice to have some conversation.
Yeah.
I think the play is designed for conversation.
So, you would say to Donald Trump if
I would
he's
say
watching?
I would say, please come, Donald Trump, but stay for the talk back.
Ooh, very good.
No.
But don't say anything.
Someone-
Just listen.
But just listen, stay for the talk back. And
Someone in the play, and I'm just going to rat out anybody, even though it's a cool thing, just asked me out of the blue when we were at the Public. He said, if Donald Trump came to this play, would you shake his hand?
Oh.
And I think I said, I got to go to the bathroom.
you pretend to drop something.
Right then.
And Michelle, you would make the speech, right?
Yeah, I would gladly. I don't. I'm from Detroit, and
So, oh my God! Well, you
people have been
know this.
stripped, and I just don't want anybody abusing these people anymore, even using their narrative for personal gain.
Yeah.
They deserve so much more. So if he comes, these people, our people, the American dream, deserves so much more investment than this lip service and ego crap.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about exploitation. I think no one has exploited the working class worse than Donald Trump, is that he appropriated the language to get elected. And I don't think he really even understands what it is to sort of work with your hands and to struggle pardon?
Not those hands.
Not those, not the little tiny hands. Little tiny hands.
Never gonna come.
The thing that's so devastating, the thing that's so devastating is you see in these people that, that their education is lacking, which through no fault of their own, so that then they're vulnerable to electing such a person.
Well, they don't have it's especially at certain ages.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, who plays
Yes.
his son,
His son, yeah.
he
He's
has
trying.
aspirations. He wants to be a teacher. But say for these, and I think when you guys interviewed some people, I mean, you grown-ass men, in the middle-aged men, crying. I mean, it's not a lot of time to get another skill set.
Exactly.
Sort of how I feel about my life too. But
This acting thing better work out.
I mean, Johanna, you're lovely, but I think the waitressing career has passed you by.
Not anymore. But you know what I mean? Like, I have an example. I had a very liberal, cool, artsy friend come to the show at the Public, and we took the subway up to 42nd Street, and he was just talking about it. He loved the play. He was talking about it, and he said, God, I got so mad at every single one of these characters. And I was just listening to him, and then he started, and this is not his exact words, but he said, I mean, why can't they get another job? And I was like, I schooled
This is
him.
the problem.
I
This is the
No,
problem.
but I mean,
But there aren't more. There aren't.
There aren't.
There aren't
But
jobs.
there's something
Yeah.
about the vulnerability of these people that really makes us very anxious.
Yeah.
Because they have to have done something wrong to deserve this. Because if not, then it's really too dangerous to think that this could happen to me somehow, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's something about the vulnerability that people push away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and also I
fascinating.
think they're being
Yeah, it's true.
empathetic, and they don't know what the answer is for them. It's saying that get another job.
But yeah, they're leading.
Stop hurting.
Yeah, they're reaching toward that anxiety, which we
Yes.
all
Which we
feel
all feel.
when we see.
And nobody knows it better than people in the theater. I mean, you guys worked in a field
Yes,
where there were
yes.
no guarantees,
Yes.
there was no pension, there was no job security, so
Yes.
nobody knows this world better
No,
than
but
people
I
in the
wish
theater.
to say,
And particularly
in the
playwrights,
theater,
we have no.
Yes.
We're not even part of a union, so we don't have.
Writers.
Right.
Like you are not part of it.
Yeah, that's I said playwrights.
But no, but I'm just,
No, that's what I'm saying. As a playwright, as a writer, I'm not part of a union.
but at least you and we have the resources of being artists that gives value and shape to our lives. Where the terrible thing you see about these people is that they are being deprived that because they're making plastic. What is it they're doing all day in the factory?
Well, I had something to say
yeah,
about that.
field tubing.
They're pretty proud of themselves.
No, I don't
I
think
mean,
that
they,
way.
But they get
you
stripped
know.
of that dignity.
They get stripped. Well, I mean, I just have to say, actors get stripped of that gig. Like $292 a week.
And you have to go to auditions.
Next.
But I will
Next.
my darkest moments here, I say, well, at least I'm not on the line making plastic toys. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Even when that there's.
Yeah.
Well, but I think
Interesting.
the-
In 2008, when the turn came, I had so many straight friends, particularly from finance, who called and were like, how do you do it? Do you know? Because we're always in a state of flux. And I was like, you don't define yourself by what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you find a way to keep yourself sane in the meantime. You know, they just were not used to being knocked around by life. And so artists, we had a different skill set. I mean, everything's temporal for us. So,
Totally, completely.
you know.
Yeah, you drift through life.
Yeah.
One question I do like to ask
Delight me.
people I admire. I'm going to start with you, Kate. Can you take me back to the moment that you saw something in the theater that made you fall in love with the theater and want to be in the theater?
That is so hard.
Right.
No thinking ahead. Spontaneity. There must have been
Doesn't help if
There's a
you
moment
think
for
of
people in the theater, I think, where something happens in their lives where they think that's where I.
Well, there's something that I experienced in high school that was the moment. But
Which
it was
was?
I directed this little piece. I was interested in Vietnam because it was, the generation above me, and it was not talked about it. And adults would talk about it, and I never heard or could hear the conversation. I was always kind of shoot out of the room. And so I did a piece on Vietnam, and I brought soldiers from the VA hospital. And
How old were you?
That's very
I was
impressive.
16.
You were cool.
And I found letters, and I had them say the letters, and I directed it, right? But God knows, I was awful, I'm sure. Directorially and structurally, it was awful. But what happened is that in the room, this woman who was a mother of a friend of mine apologized to a former soldier. She said, I'm a hippie, I'm the person who spat on you. And I'm so sorry. And he started to cry, and she started to cry. And I was in that room, and I thought, this is the thing that I am attracted to. This is what I want to do. I don't know what it is, but I knew that was the pivotal moment. is the
I'm going to cry.
conversation.
I know.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
That is it.
16?
All right, Michelle, your turn. You got to follow that.
You got to follow that. I'm from Detroit. My father told me that I was dangerously insecure, so sent me to the all-girls school in the suburbs.
I love that.
And I remember I was still getting in trouble, and he said to me, by the end of the week, you have to be in 3 clubs. And I got into a play because it covered all the bases. And
Wait, what were the clubs?
What were the 3 clubs?
I didn't have to do the clubs because I was in rehearsal every
of
night.
course, that's it.
And,
What was the play?
And, Sweet Charity. And I remember being on the stage, and it's like, the minute you walked,
Were you a prostitute?
totally. All-girl school. Nobody talked about that, but it was something like I just remember being on the stage, like, oh yeah. I like that.
She's got a Bob Fosse.
Totally. I know. It just all came together. I mean, so I did it out of, trying to get out of trouble and ended up falling in love.
I love it. Lynn?
Well, for me, mine is not nearly as deep as
Or as-
Kate's or as fun as Michelle's.
I'm saving you for last.
But when it was 5 years old, and it's when I saw something called Succotash on Ice. And yes, it involved puppets. And Kate knows how I feel about puppets. And it was about the vegetables that lived in the refrigerator. And I remember this moment when the refrigerator opened and all of the vegetables began to speak, and turning to my mother and thinking, this is magic.
Magic.
And I thought,
Where was
this was in Brooklyn. It was like
Succotash on
a
Ice.
community theater
Come on.
production. It was called Succotash on Ice. That was the moment.
Boy, it must
Like,
be
would
fun to
never
go.
get
It must
better
be fun to
than
go to the farmers market with you on Saturday.
She's like, hello.
The cucumber dances, and the melon does a Bob Fosse move. All right, and last but not least, Johanna Day, the moment for you, kid, child,
Okay,
something?
this is. I grew up in a really small town. I had 8 other older brothers and sisters.
Oh, my God.
They're all in a row, and then 6 years later, me. So I think it started out. I would just say I was going to be an actress, and I had an imaginary friend that was even poorer than we were, named Susie, who needed my clothes all the time, and so that I was naked a lot. Like 3. I'd just be like Susie, but then I had
An exhibitionist
and
from
then
the
I
beginning.
had an imaginary twin sister and my sisters and brothers would be like, "We'll go get Jennifer," and I'd be like, "Okay, I'll go get her," and I'd come up downstairs. But I saw Rocky and I wanted to be a boxer, but I'm truly, but I just always, I don't know how it happened. It was like magic how it happened. And every time I go to theater, it doesn't matter how much theater I see, when the lights go down and the lights come back up, I want to burst into tears, and I'm just amazed at everyone. I'm like, they're so brave. How do they do that?
Every
It's
time.
magic.
Well, and we were talking before about the plight of the actor, and I mean, I think I first saw you audition for the Women's Project, you know, when I was doing casting there, and you know, you have really stayed in there.
Again, I don't know how to do anything.
I mean, had you
To achieve this great play.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
And your Tony nomination.
I know, right?
Yes.
Both of you.
Had you seen Succotash on Ice, you'd be an eggplant today.
I don't know what I'd be.
All right, the play is Sweat at Studio 54. Don't miss it. Written by the brilliant Lynn Nottage, directed
Bravo.
by the brilliant Kate Whoriskey.
He's
Bravo.
brilliant.
Bravo.
And starring the ruthless Michelle Wilson. Give me that Fosse. I want that. The minute you walk in the joint. And Johanna Day with her imaginary friend.
Susie.
Thank you all for being our guests on that.
Thank you.
Bravo. This was fun.
Best revival of a musical?
Falsettos, Hello Dolly, and Miss Saigon.
This is a tough one.
What we say.
I
don't know.
That struggling show, Hello Dolly, with Bette Midler. I mean, it needs this award to survive.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Corey and Bob Dinelli Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, and the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you.